why do we tell them? Read a tall tale about a heroic young girl who saves the day.
All right, so I want to make the connection back to the essential question. Now we're talking about that essential question, but we're talking about it specifically with tall tales. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to quickly preview the picture and the title, and a little bit, you can preview a little bit on each page. It's only 2 pages long. Just make a quick prediction in your mind what this story might be about. Okay, go ahead. Here we go. Chances are y'all have seen a railroad train passing through your neck of the woods. Some of you lucky critters may have even ridden one once or twice. But this here story takes place back in the days when railroads were still pretty new in the American South. Okay, please reread that paragraph if you read on your own. This amazing tale is a young gal that folks around here call Mighty Kate. She got that name at birth on account of how unbelievably strong she was. After the doctor weighed her on a scale, the tiny babe picked up the dock to see how much he weighed. Deeds like that proved just how mighty Kate was, and her nickname stuck like paper to glue. Okay, your turn. To impress her family and neighbors with her great strength. When she went walking through the woods, if a boulder was in her path, she never stepped around it. She just picked up that rock, tossed it aside, and sauntered all along her way. Once, her pappy's horse and buggy got stuck in a ditch. Mighty Kate stepped in and pulled them both out with just one hand. Your turn. Read that. I apologize, but if your eyes can be here, I'm going to give you your next direction. For the rest of the story, I'm going to ask you guys to read independently so you can finish that story about Kate. Remember, the essential question, why do we tell stories? Okay, what purpose do they have? So think about Kate. Why would this story be told? Why are tall tales told? So that's kind of your focus as you read. If you finish in the time allowed, on the overhead here, I've got 2 text-dependent activities that you guys will answer in your notability note, in your reading response note that we created earlier. Okay? If all you have time for is finishing the story, that's okay as well. But when you are ready, you can go to this step. All right? Go ahead. Chance to finish the story. We're going to revisit that story in much more detail tomorrow. That was just our first time through to kind of familiarize yourself with that story itself. Will, quick question?
So I had a reason why they tell that story.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay.
Why don't you share one? We'll come back to that part again tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
But so it was mostly talking about in the beginning how strong she was and everything, like she could just lift everything in her throat, but it actually, she didn't really like, at the front it showed her like picking up the train and like, holding it there. But it was kind of showing brains over brawn. Yeah, brains over strength.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, and that's a saying, brains over brawn, over that strength. So really nice. So let's revisit that tomorrow as we look a little deeper into that story. All right, we're going to make that transition right now into our stations. All right, we're set up. So you guys are going to review the information, review the instructions, work with your partners in your group to kind of work through any stuck points, okay? Work through those stuck points a little bit together, I'm definitely a resource if you need me, but see if you can kind of persevere through some of those initial directions as we go. Okay, focus work, working together. Go ahead. Actually on page 1, but for sake of time, why don't you guys look here at Addie's? Why don't you look over here, and I'll read you the essential question. It says, what kinds of stories do we tell? Why do we tell them? Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
That's one thing with this program is we're going to use that essential question across all stories. So that's kind of neat, where we're kind of focusing on the same task regardless of what we're reading.
And so we kind of just have to memorize it. And
Yeah.
then we'll get the hang of it when we travel through each story.
I like that when we travel through each story because that's what the focus for each week is going to be, what those questions are. All right, so what I want you to really quickly do is scroll through Paul Bunyan a bit, and we're going to kind of do the same thing we did before. It's kind of consistent with that. I want you to look at the opening pages and the title and some of the pictures, and also maybe what you know about Tall Tales and Paul Bunyan, but what do you think this story is going to be about? You guys laughing at his beard?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah. I'll give you just 30 seconds, not a really long time, just a quick 30-second little preview.
Are we going to read through?
All right, and you guys do a natural switch in the middle and share your prediction. Go ahead.
A guy that's like trees.
Yeah, like a biography on Paul Bunyan. Explain like how
He had a beard
this could explain
It's
something.
about
This
his
could
like
explain
his
something that
life
children
and like how
why is that
it's going to be about
growing up and like what happened when he was growing up and stuff. Like he's like telling life in a funny way. Like so they're making it a funny way of telling life.
And we're going to review a tall tale. I want to remind you that tall tales are exaggerations.
Sorry, it was saying that it won't let me do that.
Okay. Tall tales are exaggerations, and they have characters who are larger than life, and they use that larger than life character or exaggerations to either tell about a person or a group of people and to teach you about maybe the deeds that someone did, or sometimes it's about how something was created. All right, so sometimes I'll use like a tall tale to explain how a landmark or natural feature like the Grand Canyon was formed. So they can be either made up, but they also can be based on real people. Yes?
About one story, about Paul Bunyan, actually. They said when he was going to work, he dragged his axe in Arizona and he created the Grand Canyon.
Absolutely. And then the other example, we talked about John Henry. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
And John Henry, we kind of said maybe based on a real person, but he represented like the working man and how hard people work. Absolutely. So he kind of stood for the railroad worker as they went. Okay, so we're going to start reading about Paul Bunyan. I want to show you guys this right here. You guys take a look. If you want to lean in, that'd be wonderful. This is the comprehension strategy we're going to be working on in our group, and that's visualize. Okay, and visualizing is what picture does the author paint in my mind as I read? Tall Tales is like perfect for visualizing because of all the exaggeration. The trick is thinking about what that exaggeration and what you're visualizing is. What's the author trying to tell me there? Okay, so as we read about visualizing, we're going to stop and we're going to take some notes in our reading response journal. Okay, and we're going to look for examples of language from the text that create a picture in your mind. So it's the words that author uses, that boom, it's like that vivid picture in my mind that I want to record. And because we're taking things out of the text, we want to record what those actual words were. So the first couple today, what we'll do today is we'll find one, and then we'll practice making a list on one of them all together. Okay, so let's open Paul Bunyan, and I'll get mine open here. And we're going to start to read a little bit.
Around like each sentence.
Let's read around a little bit so we all get an opportunity to read. And again, working on that visualize. Okay, so we're on chapter 1, the giant baby. Okay, the giant baby. Let's just have Addie start since she's right here, and we will get ready to start. Okay, Addie, go ahead.
Long ago, in the state of Maine, a giant baby boy was born.
When the baby was only 2 weeks old, he was as large as an adult.
Sorry, I accidentally swiped.
Those are the things we're figuring out this week. Beanie, you want to keep going? We can keep going.
And he was a gigantic black bushy, and he had a gigantic black bushy beard.
Right.
Oh wait, so we are doing it right.
By the time he was just 9 months old, he was 10 feet tall. I have a question though.
Yes.
What about the mother? How could you give a birth to a baby that is taller than her?
I love the fact that you're asking questions as you read. That's one of our reading strategies. Let's read forward and see if
That would take a
we might not.
You have maybe 180-hour birth.
That could be. Okay, let's finish this page. Don't swipe forward though. Once we're done here, stay on this page.
By the time he had to wear the clothes of an extremely large man.
He wore blue jeans and a red plaid shirt and huge leather boots.
Okay, very nice. So we're going to stop and we're going to work on our strategy right here, which is visual. But we're going to stop right there, right where we were, and we're going to work on visualize. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to reread. I'm going to ask you to choose one section. It could be a sentence or a phrase that the author uses that painted a picture in your mind. And then I want you to record those exact words from the text in your notability note for reading response.
Wait, we have to write this all in our text? No.
Who wants to repeat for me? Yep.
So just reread the story and visualize like one sentence that like kind of like made a picture in your mind.
Right on the top page.
On your reading response and notability. And again, it can be a whole sentence, it can be simply a phrase that helps paint that picture in your mind. I'm going to take a quick span. I have some questions in the classroom. When I come back, I'm going to share them out. If I'm not back, you guys could share with each other without me. You guys handle that? Okay, I'll be right back. Yes.